As opposed to the typical Isekai protagonists, Yuji is a little bit unique. He is a working adult, which is not very odd in and of itself, but he also seems astonishingly unconcerned with the entire scenario. In the same way that someone may be aware of Spider-Man films without ever bothering to see one, there is not any indication that he is anything more than distantly interested in reading isekai novels. What he is most invested in is his job, even though he knows it is not good for him, nor allows him to live a healthy lifestyle. He is used to living the 9-to-5 office life. So when he wakes up in the middle of nowhere, he could have sworn that he had just been working overtime. He sees a strange pop-up in front of him, which mentions Yuji and his class as a Tamare. Yuji thinks he's seeing bizarre things because he has been staring at the computer screen for too long. It also mentions his skills and HP stats. Yuji knows that Tamares can control monsters, but thinks it is ironic because earlier, he was the one being controlled by his company. The pop-up also instructs Yuri that he has tamed a slime, and one appears next to him. It leads him to an abandoned house with a huge library. Yuri finds a book called The Grimoire of Divine Destruction. Simply reading the book bumps up Yuri's HP and MP. More slimes appear and read the books in the library. Weirdly, the slimes reading the books increase Yuri's skills, and he upgrades to the level of a mage. At Faston, Yuji signs up as an adventurer. For his adventurer admission test, Yuji uses his magic so skillfully that his examiners are left shocked and confused. At first, Yuji thinks that is because his magic is too weak, but the examiner tells him that it is because his magic is way too strong. Yuji is perceived as weak by everyone around him. However, his true potential comes to light when a massive horde of 10,000 monsters suddenly attacks the Faston village. Initially, panic breaks out, and the village leader instructs everyone to evacuate immediately. The adventurers of the village protest, and Yuji steps up. Initially, everyone is skeptical of his plan and thinks that his chivalry is showy, but begins to trust him when he shows them a dragon bone that comes out from his slime and tells them of his plan. Employing his army of tamed slimes, his loyal wolf monster Proud Wolf, and the forest spirit Dryad, Yuji manages to set up a protective barrier that shields the village from harm. Using a dragon bone fed to one of his slimes, he summons the destructive power of Dragon's Fire, annihilating the monstrous invaders. The magic he casts is huge and magnificent, and the villagers fear that casting such a spell is pure suicide. Yuji is something else. He casts the spell once, but it is not enough to repel the monsters. He has to cast the spell a second time, after which he collapses. In the battle, Yuji also captures a cultist from the nefarious Blue Moon of Salvation, the group responsible for controlling the attacking monsters. However, before any information can be gleaned from the captive, he takes his own life, leaving behind a magical lantern that had been used to manipulate the creatures. The battle comes to an end, but Yuji's true abilities are finally unveiled. Earlier, the villagers had doubted his strength, but the spectacle of his magic, awe-inspiring and magnificent, had left them in astonishment at his power. He had strategically used a dragon bone to summon forth the fiery might of Dragon's Fire. Nobody could have thought of this to save the village. In a stark contrast to Yuji's earlier life, he was finally getting the recognition and admiration he deserved, something he could not even have imagined earlier. The culmination of this battle marks a pivotal turning point in his journey, as his strategic use of a dragon bone. As Yuji recuperates from his magical exertion, he recollects fragments of a past life as a Japanese salaryman, hinting at a connection between his current world and his previous existence. The narrative delves into the dichotomy between Yuji's perceived frailty and his burgeoning prowess. It presents a fascinating juxtaposition of his life as a corporate salaryman and his growing identity as a mage of exceptional potential. This internal tug-of-war informs his evolution within this new world as he learns to reconcile his past with his present capabilities. The memories continue to resurface, slowly unraveling the mystery of his connection to the world he now inhabits. Meanwhile, the village celebrates their victory, unaware of Yuji's pivotal role in their survival. Yuji's affinity with monsters grants him insights into the magical lantern left behind by the cultist. He discovers that it contains residual traces of dark magic and a map that hints at the cult's intentions. Determined to uncover the truth, Yuji embarks on a journey with Proudwolf and his loyal slimes as companions. He finally enters a new town full of marketplaces and frolic and treats his slimes and Proudwolf to food. He also registers himself as part of the guild and meets 3 other adventurers. They are the dagger expert, Rodis, Tina, the archer, and Lisa, the lancer. While some adventurers are skeptical of Yuji's strength, others recognize the potential hidden within his monster Tamare class. Lisa and Tina are doubtful about Rodis because they had heard rumors that his older team had disappeared on an expedition. Rodis tells them not to believe in such rumors and to trust him. Yuhi is also reminded of how his team, back in the corporate world, would distrust each other and tell each other off. The 4 set out on an expedition to get rid of the Earth Dragon. The team does not know that Yuhi is a powerful magician, but asks him to tag along so he may use his tracking skills to help them locate the monster. It was just as he had expected. They thought of him as weak and underestimated his potential. Their adventure takes them through enchanted forests, treacherous mountains, and eerie ruins. Proudwolf manages to detect a few monsters ahead of their trail and immediately informs Yuji about it. When Yuji lets his comrades know, they search for signs, and Rodis easily manages to annihilate the monsters. However, Yuji does not want everyone to know about his magical strength and does not use his skills at all. After they spend their day working on their quest, the party sets up camp. While Yuji sleeps, the slimes inform him that Rodis, Tina, and Lisa are gone. Tina and Lisa had already had their suspicions about Rodis. He had instructed the team to take turns guarding the camp and had volunteered to go first. Furthermore, he was rumored to be a shady guy, so they followed him. It turns out their suspicions were 100% true when Rodis ends up at a bandit camp and learns Rodis is a bandit who lures and kidnaps adventurers to sell them into slavery. Rodis promises the leader of the bandits an easy victory. He is also aware that the girls have followed him and fallen into his trap. However, before things can get any worse, Yuji freezes the bandits' camp in solid ice, and the girls realize one of the bandits is Gelios, an infamous bandit and cult member with a substantial price on his head. Yuji realizes the Blue Moon cult was behind the attack at Faston and appears concerned about a cryptic claim Gelios made about a future calamity. Tina and Lisa are left impressed by Yuji and his slimes and begin to trust him better. Yuji's group then searches for a new camp spot, and once again his slimes do the job efficiently. Yuji thinks about the information he has gathered so far and how the cult is probably the one that attacked the previous town. Despite the encounter, Yuji, Tina, and Lisa continue their mission to track the rock dragon. Yuri uses small magic, so his slimes eliminate all the small monsters in the way. In this manner, the way forward for the 3 of them is relatively clearer. Tina and Lisa's trust in Yuji continues to grow. They decide to tag alongside him because that would mean capturing more monsters and getting more reward. The adventurers are forced to seek refuge in nearby Delight Canyon when the moon and sky unexpectedly turn blue, as predicted by the cultist's prophecy, and a blue dragon materializes. The Earth Dragon erupts from the ground beneath and prevents Lisa, Tina, and Yuji from moving forward. Lisa and Tina take shelter behind some rocks and tell Yuji to do the same. However, Yuji is determined to fight the monster. With the help of the slimes, Yuji battles the Earth Dragon. At first, he uses simple spells to check what may work on it, but its scales are too thick and nothing seems to work. Let us keep in mind that Yuji purposefully does not use strong magic in front of Tina and Lisa, as he does not want them to know about his immense magical strength. Yuji initially showers the Earth Dragon with rocks. This angers it, and it rolls towards Yuji, trying to attack him. But Yuji has set the timing perfectly, and as the wind in the valley blows strongly, Yuji shoots out a fire spell and burns the Earth Dragon until just its skeleton is left. Lisa and Tina are left speechless and believe that the slimes were responsible for their victory. The guild gives them 14 million gold for the dragon skull and the bounty on Gelios. Father Style, a representative of the Grand Cathedral, and Guild Chief Rayard invite Yuji to a meeting. They arrange a session to discuss the appearance of the Blue Dragon. Once again, Yuri is reminded of his corporate life and how meetings would be held in his office. We witness a juxtaposition of his old and new life again and again, and also how he seems to be adjusting to his new one. Rayard asks Yuji to give a description of the Blue Dragon that he had witnessed. Surprisingly to everyone, Yuji manages to draw a detailed image of the dragon, leaving everyone in shock. Obviously, he uses magic, but everyone assumes the image to be the work of the slimes. Father Steele then discloses important information regarding the Blue Dragon. According to a church tale, according to Steele, a dragon emerged and decimated an entire continent before being vanquished by a celestial envoy with might equal to that of God. The church held a summoning ceremony 30 years ago to have the envoy show up 1 week before the dragon, but the emissary never materialized. While the meeting is going on, the sky turns blue again, indicating that the Blue Dragon is getting larger. Father Sterile says that this confirms the tale, which also says that the dragon appears and grows under darkened skies. The attendees of the meeting panic. This news meant that the world could end in 3 days, and thus Rayard comes up with a plan. He commands the guild to fight the dragon at first light, even without the emissary. Lisa and Tina promise to join Yuri on this new expedition to fight the Blue Dragon. They think that the bonus is immense and trust Yuri to guide them through. In private, Steele discloses that a divine vision instructed him to give Yuji a magically focused church artifact called the Dagger of Kethis, as his slimes report that the Blue Dragon is becoming bigger at night. Yuji chooses out of concern that more adventurers may perish. He recollects that his examiner had told him his magic was too strong, and he becomes determined to put it to use.